Ronan Weller wiped the grease from his hands with a red shop rag and checked his watch. 5:30. Time to close up shop and head home to hear about Lydia's college news. His daughter had been waiting 3 weeks for the University of Illinois decision, and today was the day. The bell above his auto repair shop door chimed as he locked up. 17 years he'd been building this business from nothing. Every bolt turned, every engine rebuilt, every customer satisfied had been steps toward one goal, giving Lydia a better life than he'd had. His phone buzzed. A text from Lydia. Dad, I got in. Partial scholarship too. Come home quick. Ronan's chest swelled as he climbed into his work truck. All those years of saving, all those Saturday mornings when Lydia had helped him count bills and roll coins for her college fund. They'd done it together, father and daughter, building her future dollar by dollar. The house sat on a quiet street in Columbia, Missouri. Nothing fancy, but solid. Paid off last year. Ronan had learned early that debt was a chain around a man's neck. He found Lydia bouncing in the kitchen, waving an acceptance letter. At 18, she had her mother's dark hair, but his steady green eyes. Those eyes sparkled now with pure joy. 40% scholarship, Dad. That means we only need about $60,000 for 4 years. We have enough. Ronan pulled her into a hug that lifted her feet off the ground. I'm proud of you, kiddo. All that studying paid off. Mom's not home yet, Lydia said, checking the time. She's working late again. Marla had been working late a lot recently. 17 years as a nurse, and suddenly she was pulling double shifts every week. Ronan had stopped asking why. We'll tell her when she gets home, Ronan said. Want to celebrate with pizza? They ordered from Tony's and spread the acceptance papers across the kitchen table. Ronan pulled out the folder where they kept track of Lydia's college fund. He'd been meticulous about it, every deposit recorded, every gift from grandparents and aunts carefully noted. $115,412, Lydia read from the latest statement. We actually did it, Dad. You did it, Ronan corrected. Half that money came from your part-time jobs. Marla came home at 8:30, looking tired. Her scrubs were wrinkled, and she moved like someone carrying invisible weight. Good news, Ronan said. Lydia got into Illinois. Marla's face brightened, but only for a moment. That's wonderful, honey. She hugged Lydia, but Ronan noticed the embrace felt forced. Partial scholarship, too, Lydia said. We can afford it with the college fund. Something flickered across Marla's face. Can I talk to you in the bedroom? She asked Ronan. In a minute. Let's hear more about. Now. The bedroom door closed behind them. Marla sat heavily on the bed and rubbed her temples. We need to talk about money, she said. What about it? We're in good shape. The fund has enough. The fund is gone. Ronan felt the words hit him like a wrench to the gut. What do you mean, gone? I had to use it. Medical emergency. I didn't have time to discuss it with you. Medical emergency? Ronan's voice stayed level, but his hands clenched. What medical emergency? Gynecological issue. Urgent surgery. Out-of-network specialist. Insurance wouldn't cover it. The words tumbled out fast, like she'd practiced them. When? Last week. While you were at that auto show in Kansas City. Ronan had been gone 3 days. Why didn't you call me? There wasn't time. The doctor said if I waited, it could be... She made a vague gesture toward her abdomen. Life-threatening. Show me the paperwork. Marla's jaw tightened. I'm not carrying medical files around in my purse. Then show me when we get them. Show me the bills, the insurance claims, the discharge papers. It was either my life or college, Marla snapped. What kind of husband would you be if you chose college over saving your wife? Ronan stared at her. In 20 years of marriage, Marla had never played that card. She'd never demanded he choose between her and Lydia. Because she'd never had to. He would have given anything to save either of them. But something was wrong. Marla wasn't moving like someone who'd had surgery a week ago. She wasn't taking pain medication. She wasn't moving carefully or wincing when she sat down. We'll figure it out, Ronan said finally. Lydia can start at community college, transfer later. She doesn't have to know right away. Let her enjoy this for a few days. That night, Ronan lay awake listening to Marla breathe. She'd fallen asleep, quickly, too quickly for someone carrying the weight of destroying their daughter's future. And she was sleeping on her stomach, something impossible for someone recovering from abdominal surgery. Ronan didn't say anything to Lydia. Not yet. Instead, he watched. The next morning, Marla hummed while making coffee. Actually hummed. For the first time in months, she seemed light. Happy, even. I might go shopping this weekend, she said. Need some new clothes for spring. Thought money was tight after the surgery. I could still buy a few things. A woman needs to feel good about herself. That afternoon, Ronan called Milo Torres. They'd served together in Iraq, and when Milo got out, he'd settled in Colombia and started an IT consulting business. If anyone could help Ronan figure out what was really going on, it was Milo. Meet me at O'Malley's after work, Ronan said. I need to talk. O'Malley's was a dive bar where working men went to drink beer and mind their own business. Ronan found Milo in a corner booth, nursing a Budweiser and scrolling through his phone. Milo looked the same as he had 10 years ago, lean, sharp-eyed, with the kind of focus that came from seeing too much too young. His black hair was going gray at the temples, but his hands were still steady, still quick. You look like someone kicked your dog, Milo said. Ronan told him everything. The college fund, Marla's story, the surgery that didn't add up. You want me to look into it? Milo asked. Can you? I could do a lot of things. Question is, do you really want to know? Ronan thought about Lydia's face when she'd gotten the acceptance letter. He thought about 18 years of marriage to a woman who might be lying to him about something this big. Yeah, I want to know. It took Milo 3 days. He called Ronan at the shop on Friday afternoon. Meet me at my place. Bring a six-pack. Milo lived in a small house across town, filled with computer equipment and military memorabilia. He'd never married, never settled down the way Ronan had. Sometimes Ronan envied him that freedom. Found some things, Milo said, opening his laptop. First, the money. Marla transferred the funds out of your joint savings on Tuesday morning. 3 transfers total. The screen showed bank records. $43,000 to something called Q. Harlan. Another $30,000 to Marla's personal checking account. The rest spread across several smaller transfers. Who's Q. Harlan? Getting to that. Also found ATM withdrawals at a resort in Branson. For withdrawals, Tuesday through Thursday. And a payment to an Airbnb rental in Phoenix. Ronan's beer sat untouched. Phoenix. Now, for the interesting part. You said Marla's phone is on your family plan? Yeah. That means I can access her cloud backup. Legally, since you're the account holder. Milo's fingers moved across the keyboard. Want to see? Text messages filled the screen. Dozens of them, going back months. The name at the top read Quincy. Ronan read the first few messages and felt his stomach turn. They were explicit, not just sexual, but intimate in a way that spoke of months of planning, of shared secrets and private jokes. There's more, Milo said quietly, photos, videos, conversations about meeting up, about Quincy getting divorced, about Marla being ready to start fresh. One message from Marla made Ronan's hand shake. Use the medical emergency story. He bought it completely. We're free to go to Phoenix whenever you want. Another, from 3 days ago, told him it was life or death. You should have seen his face when I said it was either me or college. He actually looked sorry for me. How long? Ronan asked. Based on the messages? About 6 months. Started right around Christmas. Ronan remembered Christmas. Marla had been distant, distracted. She'd said she was stressed about work, about getting older, about feeling stuck. He tried to be understanding, to give her space. There's something else, Milo said. Quincy Harlan. He's married. Wife's name is Fern. They got 2 kids. Does she know? That's the question, isn't it? Ronan stared at the screen until the words blurred. 20 years of marriage. 20 years of building a life together, of trusting each other with everything that mattered. And she'd thrown away for what? A younger man? A chance to feel young again. What do you want to do? Milo asked. Ronan closed the laptop. I want to think. Ronan didn't confront Marla. He didn't throw her belongings on the lawn or change the locks. Instead, he went to work on Monday morning and made phone calls. First call, his lawyer, Tom Brennan. They'd known each other since high school, and Tom had handled the business incorporation for the auto shop. I need to protect some assets, Ronan said, quickly and quietly. Divorce? Maybe, but I need to be smart about it. Tom walked him through the options. an LLC for the business, a revocable trust for the house, separate accounts in the business name, legal, clean, and bulletproof. Second call, his accountant who helped him understand the tax implications. Third call, Lydia's school counselor who explained how financial aid worked and what documentation they'd need. By Wednesday, Ronan had restructured everything. The auto shop was now owned by an LLC. The house title was in a revocable trust with Lydia as the beneficiary. His personal assets were protected in business accounts that Marla couldn't access. But the most important move was setting up a new $529 college savings plan. He transferred money from his business account, not the stolen funds, but new money he'd been saving for shop equipment. It wasn't as much as they'd had before, but it was a start. That evening, he met with Tom to review the paperwork. "You're building a case," Tom observed. "Conversion, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. But you need to document her intent to deceive." "What kind of documentation?" "Admissions. Recordings if it's legal in Missouri. Bank records showing the money went to personal use instead of medical expenses. Phone records, emails, anything that shows she lied deliberately. Missouri's a one-party consent state. For recordings, yes. But be careful. If she finds out what you're doing, she won't." Ronan also updated his will and power of attorney, naming Milo and Lydia as his representatives. If something happened to him, Marlo wouldn't be able to destroy what was left at home. Marlo was getting ready for another late shift. She bought new clothes, new makeup, new perfume. She spent an hour getting ready for a job she'd been doing for 17 years. "Working late again?" Ronan asked. "Busy season. You know how it is." She kissed his cheek a quick, guilty peck and grabbed her purse. Through the window, Ronan watched her drive away. According to the GPS tracker Milo had installed on her car, with Ronan's permission as the co-owner, she'd be heading to Quincy's apartment across town. Ronan sat in his recliner and opened his laptop. Milo had shown him how to access the cloud backup from home. The messages were getting bolder, more detailed. Marla and Quincy were planning a weekend trip to Phoenix. They were looking at apartments together. They were talking about what they'd do once Quincy's divorce was final. One message from yesterday made Ronan's jaw clench. "Ronan's so clueless. He actually thanked me for being brave about the surgery. I almost felt bad for a second." Quincy's response: "Don't feel bad, babe. You deserve happiness. You've given enough years to a man who doesn't appreciate you." Ronan closed the laptop and walked to Lydia's room. She was at her desk, working on homework, surrounded by college brochures and scholarship applications. "Dad, everything okay? Just wanted to say I'm proud of you. Whatever happens, remember that." She looked puzzled but smiled. "Thanks, Dad. Love you too." Back in the living room, Ronan made a list. Everything he'd need to prove Marla's deception. Everything he'd need to protect Lydia's future. Everything he'd need to make sure his wife understood exactly what her choices had cost. He wasn't angry anymore. Anger was hot and stupid and led to mistakes. What he felt now was something colder, sharper, something that would serve him better in the days ahead. Marla had made her choice. Now he'd make his point. 2 weeks passed. Marla grew bolder and more careless. She stopped pretending to work late shifts and started calling them girls' nights out or dinner with friends from work. She bought new clothes she couldn't afford and started getting her hair done at an expensive salon in town. Ronan watched it all without comment. He went to work, came home, made dinner, helped Lydia with college preparations. He played the role of the oblivious husband while quietly building his case. Milo called on a Thursday evening. "You need to see something." They met at Milo's house. He had his laptop open to his social media page. "Fern Harlan," Milo said. "Quincy's wife. She posted this yesterday." The post was a photo of divorce papers. The caption read, "When you find explicit messages on the family tablet and realize your husband of 15 years is a lying piece of garbage. Ladies, check those shared devices." "She knows," Ronan said. "Gets better. Look at the comments. Dozens of supportive messages from friends. But one comment stood out from someone named Janet Kellerman. "Girl, the woman he's cheating with stole her own daughter's college fund to pay for their affair. Some people have no shame." "How does Janet know?" Ronan asked. "Janet works at the bank. She processed the transfers. That's not legal for her to share." "No, but it's out there now." and Fern's friends are sharing it. 2 days later, Ronan's phone rang at the shop. Unknown number, local area code. Is this Ronan Weller? Yeah. This is Fern Harlan. I think we need to talk. They met at a coffee shop downtown. Fern was about 40, with tired eyes and the look of a woman who'd been hit by a truck but was still standing. Your wife is sleeping with my husband, she said without preamble. I know. Do you also know she stole money from your daughter to pay for their affair? Ronan's jaw tightened. I suspected. Fern pulled out her phone and scrolled through screenshots. Quincy thinks he's been clever, but he forgot we share a tablet. I've been reading their messages for weeks. She showed him conversations he hadn't seen before. Plans for a permanent move to Phoenix. Discussions about Quincy leaving his wife and kids. Detailed fantasies about their new life together. He told her he was getting divorced, Fern said. But he's also been begging me to go to marriage counseling. He wants to keep both of us. What do you want to do about it? Fern's smile was sharp as broken glass. I want to give them exactly what they deserve. But not yet. I want them to think they're winning first. That evening, Marla came home with shopping bags from expensive stores. She bought a new dress, new shoes, new jewelry. Celebrating something? Ronan asked. Can't a woman buy herself nice things? With what money? Thought the surgery cleaned us out. Marla's face flushed. I've been saving for my paychecks. Must be some hefty paychecks for a nurse to afford designer clothes. Don't start with me, Ronan. I've sacrificed enough for this family. That night, Ronan lay in bed listening to Marla text someone. The phone buzzed constantly, and she giggled like a teenager. When she thought he was asleep, she snuck into the bathroom to take photos. The next morning, she announced she was taking a wellness retreat to Arizona. When? Ronan asked. Next weekend. I need some time to recharge. How much is this wellness retreat? I've got it covered. With what money? Marla slammed her coffee mug down. With my money. From my job. The job I've worked for 17 years while you played with cars. Lydia looked up from her cereal. Mom, are you okay? I'm fine, honey. Just tired of being questioned about every penny I spend. After Marla left for work, Lydia turned to Ronan. Is something wrong between you and Mom? Ronan had been dreading this conversation, but he couldn't protect Lydia from the truth much longer. Your mother's going through some things right now. Don't worry about it. She's been acting weird lately. Different. Different how? Happy but mean? Like she's excited about something but angry at us for not being excited too. Ronan's phone buzzed. A message from Fern. Quincy just booked a flight to Phoenix. Same weekend as your wife's retreat. Want to compare notes? Saturday morning, Marla left for her wellness retreat with 2 suitcases and a new bikini she'd forgotten to hide. She kissed Ronan's cheek and told him she'd be back Sunday night, refreshed and ready to focus on their marriage. After she left, Ronan sat Lydia down at the kitchen table. He'd rehearsed this conversation a dozen times, but the words still felt like swallowing glass. There's something you need to know about your college fund. Lydia's face went pale. What about it? Ronan pulled out the folder of evidence he'd been assembling. Bank statements, phone records, printed text messages. Everything laid out in chronological order. Your mother didn't have surgery. She took the money and gave it to another man. He watched his daughter's face crumble as she read through the evidence. The bank transfers to Q. Harlan. The ATM withdrawals at the resort. The text messages planning their affair and laughing about how easy it was to fool clueless Ronan. She said it was life or death, Lydia whispered. She lied. Lydia's hands shook as she read the messages. She called you pathetic. She said you were too boring to live with anymore. I know. And she used my college money to pay for this. Yes. Lydia was quiet for a long time. When she finally looked up, her eyes were red but determined. What are we going to do? We're going to be smart. We're going to document everything. And we're going to make sure she can't hurt us anymore. They spent the afternoon building a complete timeline. Lydia helped Ronan save screenshots of all the messages, organize bank statements, and create a detailed record of Marla's deception. There's something else, Ronan said. I've been protecting our assets. The house is now in a trust with you as the beneficiary. The shop is protected in an LLC. I've started a new college fund for you. How much? Not as much as we had before, but enough to get you started. We'll figure out the rest. Lydia hugged him fiercely. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry she did this to us. You have nothing to be sorry for. This isn't your fault. That evening, they ordered Chinese food and watched old movies. It felt like the calm before a storm, but for the first time in weeks, Ronan felt like he could breathe. His phone buzzed around 9. A message from Marla. Having an amazing time. This place is so peaceful. Wish you could see how happy I am. Below the text was a photo of her and Quincy at a resort pool, drinks in hand, both grinning like they'd won the lottery. Ronan showed the photo to Lydia. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. When are you going to tell her you know? Soon, but not yet. I want her to think she's getting away with it for a little while longer. Sunday night, Marla came home glowing. She was tan, relaxed, and full of stories about meditation classes and healthy meals and finding herself. You look good, Ronan said. I feel amazing. I think I really needed that time away. Did it help with your recovery? From the surgery? For just a moment, Marla's smile faltered. Oh yes. The doctor said physical therapy would help. What doctor? The retreat doctor. They have medical staff there. Marla went to bed early, claiming exhaustion from travel. But Ronan could hear her texting again, giggling softly in the dark. Monday morning, she was back to her old routine of staying late at work and coming home energized. She started talking about making changes in their life, about how she felt like she was waking up after years of sleepwalking. I think we should talk about our future, she said over dinner Tuesday night. What about our future? Whether this is really what we both want. This life, this routine, this sameness. Lydia looked between her parents, sensing the tension. Are you asking for a divorce? Ronan asked. I'm asking if you're happy. Really happy. Or if you're just going through the motions like I was. I was happy until someone stole my daughter's college fund. Marla's fork clattered to her plate. That's not fair. I was sick. I needed help. What was the name of your doctor? What? The doctor who performed your life-saving surgery. What was his name? Marla's face went red. Dr. Morrison. What hospital? Regional. No, university. University hospital. What kind of surgery? I told you, gynecological. Specifically, what procedure? Marla stood up abruptly. I don't have to sit here and be interrogated like a criminal. Then don't sit here. After Marla stormed out, Lydia looked at Ronan with understanding in her eyes. When? She asked. Soon. Marla's 42nd birthday fell on a Friday. Ronan had been planning this evening for 2 weeks, with help from Milo and careful coordination with Fern Harlan. He told Marla he wanted to celebrate properly, to make up for the tension they'd been having. He'd invite some friends, make it special. That's sweet, Marla said, clearly pleased. I was worried you'd forgotten. I could never forget your birthday. Ronan invited 6 couples' neighbors, friends from work, people they'd known for years. Good people who deserved to know what kind of person they'd been socializing with. He cooked Marla's favorite meal, steak, garlic mashed potatoes, and green beans. He bought an expensive bottle of wine and a chocolate cake from the bakery she loved. He even bought her flowers. Marla dressed carefully for the evening. New dress, new jewelry, new perfume. She looked beautiful and happy, glowing with the satisfaction of a woman who thought she was getting away with something. The guests arrived at 6. Bill and Susan from next door. Pete and Karen from the shop. Tom the lawyer and his wife Linda. Everyone brought gifts and well wishes. During dinner, Marla was animated and charming. She told stories about work, asked about everyone's kids, played the perfect hostess. She was the woman Ronan had fallen in love with 20 years ago, before bitterness and restlessness had twisted her into someone else. For a moment, watching her laugh at something Tom said, Ronan almost felt sorry for what was coming. After dinner, they gathered in the living room for cake and presents. Marla opened gifts, graciously a scarf from the neighbors, a gift card from Pete and Karen, earrings from Tom and Linda. Finally, Lydia brought out a wrapped box. From both of us, she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Marla's face lit up. You two are so sweet. She unwrapped the box carefully, still playing the role of grateful wife and mother. Inside was a folder filled with papers. What's this? She asked, still smiling. Read it, Ronan said quietly. The room fell silent as Marla opened the folder. Her face went white as she read the first page, a notice of divorce proceedings. She flipped through the papers frantically. Bank statements showing the transfers to Q. Harlan. Screenshots of her text messages with Quincy. Photos of them together in Phoenix. A certified letter notifying her that she was being sued for conversion and fraud related to the misuse of Lydia's educational funds. The bottom of the stack was a deed showing the house now belonged to a trust with Lydia as the beneficiary. The last item was a handwritten note. You mistook my silence for weakness. You won't make that mistake again. Marla's hand shook as she read through everything. The room was dead quiet except for the sound of papers rustling and Marla's increasingly rapid breathing. I don't understand, she whispered. Yes, you do, Ronan said calmly. You understand perfectly. Ronan, I can explain. Don't. His voice cut through her protest like a blade. Don't insult these people by lying to their faces the way you've been lying to mine. Marla looked around the room at their friends, all staring at her with shock and dawning comprehension. The medical emergency was fake, Ronan continued, his voice steady and cold. The surgery never happened. She took our daughter's college fund and gave it to her boyfriend to pay for their affair. Oh my God, Susan whispered. Marla's face crumpled. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I didn't mean for it to go this far. How far did you mean for it to go? Ronan asked. How much of our daughter's future were you planning to steal? I was going to pay it back. With what money? The money you don't have because you spent it all on a married man who's been lying to his wife the same way you've been lying to me. Marla began to sob, but there was no sympathy in the room. Tom and Linda gathered their things and left quietly. Pete and Karen followed. Bill and Susan, who had been their neighbors for 8 years, wouldn't meet Marla's eyes as they headed for the door. Please, Marla begged. Don't do this. We can work it out. Ronan stood up and walked to the door. Lydia followed him. Enjoy the house while you can, Ronan said without turning around. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. They left Marla alone in the living room, surrounded by birthday cake and evidence of her betrayal. Ronan and Lydia spent the night at Milo's house. Ronan's phone buzzed constantly with calls and texts from Marla, but he ignored them all. Saturday morning, Fern Harlan called. How did it go? She asked. Like we planned. Your turn. Already done. Quincy came home last night to find divorce papers and a restraining order. I also sent copies of all his messages to his boss, his parents, and his gym clients. Gym clients? He's a personal trainer. Was a personal trainer. His boss fired him this morning for unprofessional conduct. By Monday, the story had spread through Columbia like wildfire. Small towns didn't keep secrets long, especially secrets this dramatic. Marla's co-workers knew. The neighbors knew. People at the grocery store whispered when they saw her. Milo called Tuesday afternoon. Your wife's been suspended from the hospital. For what? Someone sent HR a package with all the evidence. Screenshots of her messages, bank records, photos from Phoenix. They're investigating whether she used company resources for personal business. Did you send the package? Wasn't me, but I might know who did. Ronan didn't ask. Some things were better left unknown. Marla tried calling Quincy, but his phone went straight to voicemail. She drove to his apartment, but he'd moved out. She called the gym where he worked, but they told her he no longer worked there and hung up on her. She tried showing up at Ronan's shop, but he had her escorted off the property by the police. I need to talk to you, she pleaded through the car window. Talk to my lawyer, Ronan said. This is insane. You're destroying my life over a mistake. You destroyed your own life. I'm just making sure you can't destroy ours too. Thursday evening, Lydia came home from work at the grocery store with news. Mom was there, she said, buying cheap groceries and generic brands. She looked terrible. Did she try to talk to you? She tried. I walked away. Good. Friday morning, Ronan got a call from Tom Brennan. Quincy Harlan has disappeared, Tom said. Fern's lawyer can't find him to serve papers. Apparently, he emptied their joint checking account and vanished. What about Marla's lawsuit? Still moving forward. We don't need Quincy to prove conversion. The bank records are enough. That evening, Marla showed up at Milo's house, where Ronan and Lydia were staying temporarily. Please, she said when Milo answered the door. I just need 5 minutes. He doesn't want to see you, Milo said. Quincy's gone. He took everything and left. I have nothing. That's not Ronan's problem. I made mistakes, but I'm still Lydia's mother. I'm still his wife. No, Ronan said, appearing behind Milo. You're not. You stopped being my wife the day you chose another man over our family. You stopped being Lydia's mother the day you stole her future. I can make this right. There is no making this right. There's only the consequences of your choices. Marla's face twisted with rage and desperation. You vindictive bastard. You planned this whole thing. I protected my family from a thief. If that makes me vindictive, I can live with that. Lydia will never forgive you for this. Lydia appeared in the doorway. For what? For protecting my college fund? For stopping you from stealing more of our money? For saving me from having a mother who lies about everything? Honey, please. Don't call me honey. Don't call me anything. You made your choice when you decided a stranger was more important than your own daughter. Marla tried to reach for Lydia, but Lydia stepped back. I loved you, Marla said to Ronan. For 20 years, I loved you. No, Ronan replied. For 20 years, you loved what I could give you. When that wasn't enough, you found someone else to take from. After Marla left, Lydia hugged Ronan tightly. I'm proud of you, Dad, for not letting her get away with it. I'm proud of you, too. This couldn't have been easy. It wasn't, but it was right. The lawsuit moved quickly. Tom Brennan had built a strong case around Marla's conversion of Lydia's educational funds. Missouri law was clear about fiduciary duty between spouses, especially when it came to funds designated for children's education. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank records showing the transfers. Text messages proving the medical emergency was fake. Documentation that the money was used for personal travel and affair-related expenses rather than medical bills. Marla hired a lawyer, but her defense was weak. She couldn't produce any medical records because there were none. She couldn't claim the money was used for legitimate family expenses because the text messages proved otherwise. She couldn't even claim ignorance because her own words showed deliberate deception. The court awarded Ronan a judgment for the full amount of the stolen funds, plus damages and legal fees. Since Marla had no assets and no income, she'd been fired from the hospital. The court ordered wage garnishment for any future employment. More importantly, the court granted Ronan primary custody of any remaining minor trust funds and educational accounts. Marla would have no access to Lydia's financial affairs. The divorce proceedings were equally one-sided. With documented evidence of adultery and financial fraud, Marla had no leverage for alimony or property division. The house belonged to Lydia's trust. The business belonged to Ronan's LLC. The cars, savings accounts, and retirement funds were all protected. Marla was forced to sell her jewelry and designer clothes to pay for rent on a small apartment across town. She found part-time work at a clinic, but the wage garnishment took most of her paycheck. 6 months after the birthday dinner, Marla was living in a shared rental with 2 roommates, driving a used car with 200,000 miles, and working nights to avoid the judgmental stares of her former colleagues. Quincy Harlan was never found. Fern discovered he'd legally changed his name and moved to another state, leaving behind 2 children and a mountain of debt. Marla had traded her family for a man who had disappeared the moment things got difficult. Ronan reopened his auto shop with a new name, Weller & Weller Auto. He'd made Lydia a partner in the business, giving her a stake in their shared future. The shop thrived. Word had spread about what Marla had done, and the community rallied around Ronan and Lydia. Customers brought their cars to support a man who'd stood up for his daughter. Business doubled within 6 months. Lydia started at the University of Illinois in the fall, funded by the new college account Ronan had established and supplemented by community scholarships from local businesses that wanted to help. She came home every other weekend to help at the shop, learning the business side while pursuing her degree in business administration. They were building something together, not just a shop, but a legacy. One Saturday afternoon, as they closed up the shop together, Lydia found an envelope that had been slipped under the door. It's addressed to both of us, she said. Inside was a flyer for Weller & Weller Auto, featuring Lydia's graduation photo and a quote, "You broke us. We built stronger." At the bottom, in neat handwriting, from a friend who admires your strength. Ronan smiled. Dolly Martinez, the neighbor who saw everything that night. She's been leaving us notes of support. They walked to Ronan's truck together. The house was theirs now, truly theirs, without the shadow of deception hanging over it. They'd painted the walls, replaced the furniture, and turned it into a home again. Do you ever miss her? Lydia asked as they drove home. I miss who I thought she was. But that person might never have existed. Do you think she's sorry? I think she's sorry she got caught. I think she's sorry her plan didn't work. But I don't think she's sorry for what she did to us. Good, Lydia said fiercely, because I'm not sorry for what we did to her. That evening, they had dinner together and planned Lydia's next semester schedule. She was doing well in school, making friends, building a future that no one could steal from her. Around 8 o'clock, Ronan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know I realize what I lost. I'm sorry. Ronan showed the message to Lydia. You going to respond? She asked. No point. Sorry doesn't pay back college funds. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust. Sorry doesn't undo 20 years of lies. He deleted the message without responding. Later that night, as he sat in his recliner reading the newspaper, Ronan felt something he hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not happiness exactly, but the deep satisfaction of a man who'd protected what mattered most. Marla had made her choice. She'd chosen immediate gratification over long-term commitment. She'd chosen a fantasy over reality. She'd chosen herself over her family. Ronan had made his choice too. He'd chosen a fight for his daughter's future. He'd chosen truth over comfortable lies. He'd chosen justice over forgiveness. Some people would say he was too harsh, too unforgiving. They'd say everyone deserved a second chance. But Ronan knew something they didn't. Trust, once broken completely, couldn't be rebuilt. Some choices had permanent consequences. Some betrayals were too deep to forgive. Marla had burned their life to the ground for a man who disappeared at the first sign of trouble. She'd stolen from her own daughter to fund an affair with someone who'd never intended to build a real future with her. She'd learned too late that actions had consequences. That lies eventually came to light. That breaking faith with the people who loved you meant losing them forever. The cost of loyalty wasn't always paid by the loyal ones. Sometimes it was paid by those who forgot what loyalty meant.